Hi, thanks for tuning in again to the Doctor Podcast Cykiert File Show. And this is episode 101. And we'd really appreciate if you could subscribe, follow, like, repost, and share this episode so we can get more great guests like we have today. Today, we're discussing a very important topic that affects and deeply impacts literally tens of millions of new mothers and babies around the world, and that is the subject of breastfeeding and maternal care. Our guest today is from the UK, and she's an expert on the subject of breastfeeding babies and maternal postpartum health. Helen, thanks very much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Helen Curran serves as the Chief Marketing Officer of Dr. Talbot's, a company renowned for its natural medications and medicines and healthcare products. She's got a rich background in sales and marketing, and she has contributed to such brands as Tommy Tippy, Berghaus, and Newbie, as well as others. Her dedication to maternal health has led her to establish Sporty Mommy, which is an initiative supporting active mothers. At Dr. Talbot's, Helen has been instrumental in developing innovative products like MilkFresh, which we'll talk about. That's a mobile app designed to assist mothers in safely storing breast milk, which is very important. So, Helen, thanks again for joining us today. We really appreciate your taking the time to do this. Can you tell us about your background and how Dr. Talbot's and Dr. Talbot's Mom Line were developed to support mothers and families?
Yeah, absolutely. Great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
My pleasure.
Um, so I've worked in the mother and baby industry for a long time now. You mentioned some of the brands I've worked for. And my main focus has been on developing products that help make parenting easier and better for baby. I started working with Dr. Talbot's in 2021. It's a wellness brand focused on developing products that improve the health of babies and children. And I'd already had a very active interest in helping pregnant and postpartum mums from a personal perspective, and I had started the Sporty Mommy, which is a brand for which is a range of sportswear for pregnant and postpartum women, which I developed before that category was really being talked about. It wasn't encouraged for pregnant women to be active and do sport during pregnancy. So I've always had an interest there. And 2 years in from working at Dr. Talbot's, I saw the opportunity to develop a range specifically for mums to help pregnant and postpartum mums. So that's how it started, and it launched last year.
Right. So tell us about Dr. Talbot's Mom. It focuses on prenatal and postpartum care for women. What are some of the biggest challenges that new mothers face during this time, and how can they best prepare for those challenges?
So mums face lots of challenges when they come to have a baby. There's the obvious physical challenge of their body changing. Um, and pregnancy is very much the preparation stage, and postpartum is the recovery stage. But there's also challenges around their mental and emotional health, which is often invisible to others, but it's definitely there because it's such a life-changing moment in their life. So with Dr. Talbot's mum, we acknowledge these difficulties, and we talk about subjects that in the past had been taboo. And we provide products to help moms to deal with them. And one of those products is MilkFresh, which is helping mums breastfeed for longer.
How does Milk Fresh work? And there's an app for that. Can you explain that?
Yeah, it's the first of its kind technology. So it's not only an app, it's a sensor, and the sensor is applied to a bag of breast milk. So, for example, if mum is at work and she's pumped the milk and she stores it in the bag, she'd then apply a milk fresh sensor. She'd scan it with her phone to take her to the app, and that would log all of the details of the bag. So she'd put in the volume, the time would automatically be added. Um, And from that moment, the sensor is activated. It starts tracking the freshness of the milk. And the really clever part is that it's tracking it based on the temperature in real time, because there's nothing else out there that is tracking the effects of temperature on milk.
Right.
So when she takes that bag of milk home with her, that milk will be exposed to various temperatures, and she'll have no idea of the impact that those changing temperatures have had on the milk. So the sensor tracks that for her and will update the shelf life of the milk accordingly.
I see. So does it sense other things besides the temperature, which is very important?
It tracks based on time and temperature, so it follows the CDC guidelines on how long to store breast milk for, so 4 days in a fridge and 6 months in a freezer. So that's what we follow in terms of tracking the time. It also tracks the temperature, so it's the two things. And it simulates the milk. So that's how it doesn't need to touch the milk, it's just on the outside of the bag, but it's simulating the degradation of the milk inside the bag.
So how long can breast milk last for, and at what temperature level should it stay at?
Well, it can be in a fridge, the recommendation is 4 days. In a freezer, it's 6 months, but it's also within the CDC guidelines, you can use that milk up to 12 months. But the recommendation for the best quality is up to 6 months. And the app will take into account whatever temperature that milk is exposed to, because it's not just monitoring the temperature when it's in the fridge or the freezer, it's tracking the temperature before it gets to the fridge and the freezer, and that's where mum needs the help at the moment.
Right. For example, going between work and home.
Yes, or on holiday, yeah. Before she puts that milk in the fridge and freezer, Milk Fresh is tracking the temperature.
Now, how does stress impact the mother's recovery after birth, and what strategies can help new moms manage that recovery?
Well, stress can impact her mental and physical health significantly. There's the obvious ones. It can lead to postpartum depression, delayed bonding with the baby, but it can also reduce her capacity to produce breast milk. So,
So your emotion, sorry to interrupt. So your emotional state can affect how much milk you produce.
absolutely, yes, yes. Stress has a big part to play on how much milk you produce. Yes.
And so the hormones involved in stress can affect milk production. So that's
Yeah, yeah,
important.
yeah. So support is key for mums. Emotional and mental support is very important.
Right. And Dr. Talbot's mom line, can you explain how it started as Dr. Talbot's and then it evolved into Dr. Talbot's mom?
Yes, so it started as Dr. Talbot's, I think it was 2011, and it's products mainly for babies and children. We do focus on using natural ingredients as much as possible, but where nature can't solve it, we do look to science and technology as well. And so we blend nature with science. And then in 2023, I can't remember the year exactly, I decided I'd like to launch a range for mums, and that's how Dr. Talbot's Mum was developed.
I see. So it's involved into natural products for mom as well.
Yeah,
Now,
and not just natural. So Milk Fresh is very much technology based. So that's an example of a product that's not based on natural ingredients. So we look at both ends of the spectrum and take the best of both worlds.
right, can't escape technology. It's affecting everything, and it's good that we
Absolutely.
can use it to help women and families and babies. Now, the CDC data in the USA shows that only about 30% of hospitals have strong breastfeeding support programs. How do you think healthcare institutions and brands can better support new moms in their postpartum journey? And why do you think it's only 30%? Shouldn't it be higher?
Um, yes, ideally it should be higher. So there are several organizations that do offer support. So mainly in the US, the issue is it costs. There's a financial cost to getting support, but there are organisations out there that offer free and low cost support if you look for them, um, such as the Lech League. So I would recommend mums look online to see if there's any local communities that offer support for her, and that can help. But yes, you're right. It should be higher, but unfortunately, it sometimes comes at a cost, and not everyone can afford to pay the price.
Right. So there are financial hurdles as usual.
Yeah.
We're trying to overcome. Now, there's also, interestingly, a significant dropout rate for breastfeeding by about 6 months after the baby's born. From your perspective, what are some of the reasons for that, and how can we improve those numbers and increase the duration of breastfeeding, which is healthy for the baby, for the immune system, for the baby's emotional well-being, and other numerous factors?
Yes. So it's very hard to exclusively breastfeed for 6 months, and also it's sometimes impractical for some mums, especially working mums. If they want to breastfeed for 6 months, they have to express milk at work and bring that back home and store it, which is where Milk Fresh comes in and helps. So it's not just a freshness tracker, it's also a breast milk feeding system helping mums breastfeed for longer. And hopefully we're playing our part there in helping mums and increasing that rate, of decreasing the dropout rate rather.
Right, that's great. That's a great app, and mothers should definitely look into that. There's often discussion about baby formula companies and their role in shaping infant nutrition choices. What are your thoughts on how brands can best support moms, whether they choose to breastfeed or use formula?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in giving women a choice. There's lots of pressure on women to breastfeed, and they feel like they must do it. But if it's not for them, it's not for them. And the important thing is that baby remains healthy and is fed, and formula is a safe alternative. Um, so brands can support mums with reassurance that whichever way they choose to feed their baby, it's okay. And we help them in um, whichever way they choose. Milk Fresh helps mums wanting to breastfeed, but we also provide bottles and formula mixes for those wanting to bottle or combination feed. So we are pro feeding and support breastfeeding mums and non-breastfeeding mums.
That's great. You're providing emotional support for the mom, regardless of which choice she picks. That helps the
Exactly.
mom and also helps mom bond to baby, and the baby benefits as well. Do you have
Yeah.
any final thoughts or advice for new moms navigating postpartum recovery and wellness?
Well, it's a very tough stage of a woman's life. It takes a lot longer than she sometimes thinks. It takes longer than a couple of months to recover from having a baby, despite what they may see on social media.
Right.
There is always help available. In most cases, mums just need to ask. Um, my advice would be to stay connected with your friends and family, those that help ease the load, um, allow people to help, but always make time for yourself to have some self-care every week. Schedule it in and look forward to it, because staying healthy as a mum will benefit your baby and benefit the entire family. Um, that's
That's
the
great.
advice I would give.
That's great advice. Thanks very much. So, thank you very much for taking the time to appear on the program today. Really appreciate it. And I hope some moms look at the Milk Fresh app, because it sounds like great technological innovation that'll help moms and babies.
Yes, absolutely. And check us out on social media, um, Dr. Talbot's mom social media, and you can follow us there for more advice.
All right. Thanks very much.
All right, thank you.